Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our webinar with Ansel on the topic how to demystify glove selection. I'm Andrea Holzbeck, Supplier Relationship Manager at Avantor. And before we are moving to the session, I will let you know that the webinar will be recorded. The link will be shared with you after the webinar. And please put your questions anytime in the chat. We will have a Q&A session after the presentation to answer your questions. If you have any questions after the webinar session itself, feel free to email at webinar@avantorsciences.com to us. Our speaker today is Munir Jama. He is Senior Manager Education and Technical Chemical Solutions at Ansel. And with this, I hand over to Munir. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Munir Jama. So today we are here to spend a few minutes, 1 hour together to demystify the glove selection and some resistance criteria. We will go through a lot of explanation today. I'm not alone today. I'm with Joris van Lift. Joris, you can introduce yourself.
Yes, good morning, everyone. As Munir said, I'm the colleague of Munir. I'm the Associate Director on the chemical portfolio for Ansel for the EMEA region. So my responsibility is really making sure that the products we offer, and that goes from chemical gloves up to chemical suits and diving suits. So a very broad portfolio that we offer these that are adequate and the correct ones for you as a customer. But the keynote speaker of today is, of course, Munir. I will jump in and moderate in some cases, but I just want to reiterate what Andrea mentioned. If you have any questions, please use the chat. We'll come back during the session or after the session if we don't have the time as well. So, Munir, the floor is yours again.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Joris. So I will start with quick presentation of myself so you know who am I. My background also and my experience. I have a scientific background. I'm biochemist and also worked as EHS manager for 16 years in different industries. So I am also industrial hygienist since 1 year now and also prevention advisor level 1. Before joining this fantastic company, Ansel, like as training and education senior manager, I worked in food, pharma, and also oil and gas company. You can see the names of the company here. So the content today will introduce with the introduction, the route of chemical entry, how the chemicals can enter the body, and the three pathways of dermal exposure. I will explain how are the contact between the chemicals and the skin, the chemical effects on the skin, and we will go through the resistance criteria of the chemical protection and some case studies on the choosing of the right PPE, the right gloves specifically here. So the route of chemical entry, you know it, the classical one is the inhalation. It's the most known one. When we are breathing chemicals, the chemicals, of course, can enter our body. The second one is digestion. In general, it's by cross-contamination or by accident. If we are working with chemicals with our hands and we don't clean our hands and we put our hands on our mouth by eating food or smoking, so we can put in contact chemicals with our digestive system. And the last one, of course, is contact with the skin. And the contact in skin, the opportunities of contact with the skin in different industry, in the labs, etc., is very important, and they are very different. So today we will focus only in the skin contact and the effect on the skin contact also. So, but before, do you know that the skin is considered as an organ? It's exactly the same thing that our brain or other organs. I have a questions for you guys today. It's kind of quiz. The skin is the largest organ. This is something that everybody know. But do you know what is the area or the surface of the skin? What is the size of the skin surface in average human adult? Is it the answer A? So you can participate. Answer A from 0 to 1 meter square, or from 1 meter square to 2 meters square, or between 6 and 12 meters square. So normally you can answer via the platforms. So just let me
Yes,
know.
I've launched the poll, so the poll is now being voted on, and the answers are getting in. There's nobody who's answering 0.1 square meter to 1 square meter. We have a full group of people responding between 1.2 and 2 square meters, and the majority, 58%, 57, 58%, is replying between 6.5 square meters to 12 square meters. So that means I
Okay,
will just maybe give another 10 seconds for the people who have not responded yet.
too
So
late because I
too
shared
late.
the answer
Ah,
now.
you shared the results. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So indeed, the surface is the right answer. The answer would be between 1 and 2 meters squared. It looks like the surface of normal standard European door. So it's very important. It's huge. So it means also the opportunities of contact with the chemicals are very important because the surface is very large. So the three pathways of dermal exposure. It's divided also in three different categories. The first one that we will explore together now is the direct contact. What we mean by direct contact, it could be by immersion or by splashes. The immersion, we can give some examples, and typically in biotechnological companies or pharma companies during the cleaning activities, or in food company also during the cleaning activities, the worker need to put the specific part, the tools that they are using, in a bath of chemicals, and they start to clean the part with physically with their hands, and also putting this part in immersion in the bath of chemicals. And in some companies, you have worker just doing this for all the days and sometimes only for the house days, 4 hours. It means that the workers, they will be in contact, they will put their hand immersed in this chemical solution. The second direct contact category is the splashes. The splashes, in case it's always the same example. Here, in the case if we put the part in the bath, so we can have splashes, or in kind of leak. I know in pharma companies we are using a lot of connections, and it's a challenging thing in production or in maintenance department to avoid to have any leak. And sometimes when we have leaks, we can have splashes. So this is the first pathway of the dermal contact, the direct contact. The second pathway is contaminated surface contact. And we can see here it could be contaminated tools or contaminated cloth. And it's typically what we can see in some maintenance department. They are using a lot of cloth to remove chemicals to clean some part. And the clothes, if they are contaminated with a lot of many different chemicals, and if we don't protect our hand, we could be in contact with these chemicals, and this we call it indirect contact or contaminated surface contact. Also, during the cleaning activities, we see it here in laboratories, so we use again a cloth with sometimes disinfectant, and we can have this indirect contact. And the last one, and maybe it's less important for you guys, is typically in oil and gas industry. Some tools are very contaminated with oils, with grease, and if we are handling these tools without any protection, we could be in contact with the chemicals. So the second category of dermal exposure, it's contaminated surface contact. The third one, and this one is forgotten a lot, is the airborne contact. Because when we start to speak about the airborne, of course, the first reflex or the first thinking was about inhalation, and it's correct, it's right. But the airborne could be also can contaminate surface like skin. And typically, in which activities we can find this again in food or in pharma, we have a lot of processes, procedure of cleaning, and if we are or dry fogging, if we are not protecting ourselves, we can be in contact with these chemicals directly with the skin. Another example is in automotive activities, painting room, painting processes. So we create the kind of airborne, and the airborne also, of course, can be inhalated, but it can be also in contact with the skin. So this is the three different pathway of dermal exposure: the direct contact, contaminated surface contact, and the airborne contact. So now we'll explore together the chemical effect on the skin. They are divided also in three different categories. The most known one, where we put our focus, is in general the direct contact. What are the direct contact categories? The direct effects, sorry. The direct effects could be depigmentation, could be irritation or corrosion, and also defatting and having dry skin, especially while we are using, for example, solvent as acetone. So one of the effect is to have a dry skin. All this direct, there are effects that we can observe by our eyes, and it's easy to observe them, and it's easy to explain them to the workers. The second categories of the effect are the systemic effect. And here, it's not something that we can see directly now. It's going to happen after a few months or after a few years of exposure. And how it works, some chemicals could be absorbed by the skin. And the chemical itself or the metabolite of the chemicals can be transported via the blood system transport to reach some organs, and that can lead to the specific disease and specific negative effect on this organ. So we have a huge amount of chemicals that can have negative effect on the liver and the kidney, in this nervous system, and also for the productive systems. So it's not only by inhalation that the chemical can reach this organ, but also via the skin, it can happen. And by the way, when you check the chemicals, if they have the skin notation in their safety data sheet on a specific toxicological website, so you need to pay attention more on this chemical when it's in contact with the skin. The third one, and we observe it more and more, is sensitization effect. What we mean by the sensitization is just allergic effect. And some chemicals like resin, epoxy, chromat, rubber can provide this allergy. So the allergy, we can see it in the skin. We can have some irritation on the skin or red color in the skin. It means that we have this allergic effect. So we have three different effects to summarize: the direct effect, secondly, the systemic effect on long term, and sensitization effect. So this is why a lot of companies or laboratories, they are putting in place defenses to protect their worker. Of course, it starts by to have a safety design in the facilities, to use collective protection, and also, of course, the first thing to do, if we can, remove the chemical or to replace it with less dangerous chemicals. Unfortunately, removing it's sometimes very difficult to reach, and this is why company need to put in place the defenses. This model, we call it the Swiss cheese model, and each defense is that they have their own weaknesses. And one of the weaknesses of the PPE, personal protective equipment, it could be the wrong choice of the PPE, or the people, they don't know how to use this specific PPE. We will come back to this when we discuss together the case study. So, as I explained, the PPE, they have some weaknesses, and one of them, the experience show us that the wrong PPE sometimes are chosen to protect the worker. And this is why a lot of standards are created by international authorities to help the safety professionals and to help organizations to select the right PPE. And they define some resistance criteria. And this criteria need to be assessed when we are choosing the protection, the glove or the suit. So one of these criteria, there are three here. They are explained in the EN standard EN 374. It's the degradation. So what we mean by the degradation, it's the destructive change in one or more properties. We can see discoloration of the gloves, for example. Here you see it in the picture, elongation because of contact with chemical, burning, sometimes it looks like burned, and we can see also some cracked and hardness in the glove. Below, you see real pictures coming from the field when the wrong PPE is used to handle some chemicals. The second criteria of resistance is penetration. The penetration is movement of chemicals or microorganisms, by the way, through pinholes or some imperfection of the glove itself or the PPE itself. You can see the picture here. Some imperfection can allow chemicals to enter directly via the pinholes and could be in contact with the skin. The third one is permeation. Permeation, it's not something that we can see with our eyes. It happens in molecular level, and we will come back on the permeation to explain why permeation occurs and what it is. But first, we'll focus a little bit on the degradation, penetration, and the link that we can have between them. So this video, just to show you a very quick video to show the effect of some chemicals on when they are in contact with the wrong material of the PPE. So this experience show two gloves. The white one is a vinyl glove and the green one is nitride glove. And the experience will put a solvent, the THF, in each glove, and we will see what happens. So the technician is using pipette for that. He put an amount of THF in nitride glove and the same amount plus minus in vinyl glove. And you can see directly here destruction of the glove because of contact of the chemical and the PPE material. This is what we call degradation. And of course, the degradation, as you said, can lead to penetration. So of course, here it's a little bit exaggerating because we put a lot of an important amount of chemical on the glove, but sometimes it just few milliliters can lead to this degradation and can lead, and we can have penetration of the chemical and that could be in contact with the skin. So this is the link between degradation and penetration, and we need to check the glove if it's resistant to degradation against some chemicals when you are choosing the PPE. So permeation. The permeation, as I said, is happen in molecular level. So here we have a nice video. It's net permeation of the glove, but here it's simulation of permeation of water molecule through the cell membrane. It's exactly the same phenomena than the permeation that we have. Here in gray color, we have the PPE material, and we have chemicals, the red and blue and green one, permeating through the PPE barrier. So the first question, why does permeation occur? It just a reminder, I'm sure that we have some chemists in the audience today. It's what we call a process of diffusion. So the movement of molecules from high concentration to low concentration. It's something that we can't avoid. So all the chemicals will, after a while, will permeate through a specific cell membrane or a specific PPE barrier. So how we measure it? We measure it using this kind of device. Is a cell. In the cell, we put the chemicals that we would like to test. We put in the middle the PPE barrier, and we have a kind of permeation sensor. It's not really a sensor, just for explanation, I will call it sensor, to measure the amount of chemicals that they are permeating. So to simplify the explanation, I will remove the device and we'll just keep the PPE barrier that we would like to test. Let's imagine that I put a permeation rate sensor on this PPE barrier, and I make an analogy with a pipe of water. I will put a flow meter on the pipe of water. I will take also a timer, and will open a van of water to lead water to go through the pipe, and I have a source of chemical, and I will open the valve also of this chemical. And I will push the button of the timer. After a while, we see that we have water going through the pipe and also chemicals starting to permeate through the PPE barrier. And you see that the time is running till when we reach the magic amount of 1 microgram by minute by centimeter square, I stop. I push the stop button of the timer, and the time that we measured to reach the permeation rate of microgram per minute per centimeter square, it's called the breakthrough time. It's very important to understand this. The breakthrough time, it's not the time when chemicals start to permeate. No, this process started before, and the breakthrough time is measured when we reach the permeation rate of 1 microgram per minute per centimeter square. It's important to understand this to have a right interpretation of what we will see a little bit later. So, of course, all this experience that I explained before, we did it under laboratory condition. It's standardized, so we have to follow uh, a specific temperature. So, which temperature? We will see it now. The you know the permeation, as you said, is chemical diffusion. So as all the chemical and all the physical aspect, when we increase the temperature, we will have increase of molecule movement. This means that the higher is the temperature, the faster the permeation rate. And the calculations show that the permeation rate can double with 10 degrees of increase. And the temperature that we are using to measure the breakthrough time, as I said, we need to follow specific standards. We are doing this under 23 degrees. So if your process are using chemicals more than 23 degrees, you need to consider that. And especially the hands, when we are wearing gloves, the temperature of the hands is about 31 degrees. So this means that the permeation will be more important, and this will affect the breakthrough time. Fortunately, if we have increase of 10 degrees, we will not have decrease by half. But if I give example here, the permeation at 23 degrees is 380 minutes, and if we increase by 10 degrees, the breakthrough time is 310 minutes. So we lost almost 1 hour. So it's something that I advise you to consider when you are making your risk assessment, the temperature of the chemicals in your process. So we receive a lot of questions sometimes from our customer to use one kind of glove that can protect against all chemicals, and ideally to have it protecting all chemicals and the breakthrough time more than 8 hours. It's of course a dream, but here I will explain a little bit why some chemicals we can't use them against some specific, or the opposite, why we can't use some PP material against some specific chemicals. It's just applying the principle of like dissolves like. This means that when we have polar chemicals, they will dissolve polar barrier materials. And when we have non-polar chemicals, they will dissolve non-polar barriers chemicals. Here in this cross table, we have in the top the glove material, divided in three families, categories: non-polar glove material, slightly polar, and highly polar. And in bottom, we have chemicals, the highly polar chemicals, slightly polar, and non-polar. If I take example of methanol, that you know is polar molecule, of course, we will advise non-polar PP material, non-polar protection like polyethylene, butyl, or natural rubber. If I'm using toluene or benzene or oils, that is non-polar molecule, of course, I will use highly polar like PVA, vinyl, nylon, etc. So the challenge is that when the PP offers the broadest chemical protection, it means that we are combining a few layers of polar and non-polar barrier material. And here we have the know-how of the PPE producer, and we have the know-how of our R&D department to try to have this to have these different layers on maximum, and to guarantee the stability also of the glove, to be sure that we can offer largest protection. But it not means that one glove can protect against all the chemicals. So you see here in this table that we have some PPE material, and the positive things and the negative things on each PPE material. So another concept, so I spoke about permeation. Quickly, another concept, it's about cumulative permeation. To explain it, I will use exactly the same analogy, and but we will focus on the amount of the chemicals that are permeated through the PPE barrier. So this amount, we call it cumulative permeation. And if I try to check this with this curve, so here we have the time and we have permeation in another side. So the cumulative permeation, it's this amount that can accumulate after 8 hours. In this example, we took, of course, an example of a glove with the breakthrough time more than 8 hours. It means that he will never reach the amount of 1 microgram per minute per centimeter square. It means that the PPE material is the right one, but in some case, this cumulative permeation can, of course, it's in contact with the skin, but we don't know if this amount is dangerous or not. Remember also that the data is given per centimeter square, but our surface area of the hands is more than 1 centimeter square. If we have, of course, it's the worst case here, permanent contact for 8 hours with the two hands in the solution, it can lead to exposure of 450 milligram. Of course, it's the worst case here, because we don't see any processes where we put the hand for 8 hours. But just to give you an information about, sometimes the quantities can lead to fatalities, and we will see it in some case study just after. So yeah, here we are in for the case studies. The first one, it happened on QC lab, where the safety professional, the safety manager, is asking to provide a glove to the user. Of course, the analytical lab, they are using a lot of wide of chemicals, and they need also to have a dexterity. So you can imagine when you work in laboratory, you need to manipulate in easy way. So the dexterity is very important. And it's not the only important topic. It's all what is important also is to provide the good protection, and to have resistance for the chemicals, to have a breakthrough time of more than 8 hours. This is the request of the safety manager. Glove need to be resistant for all chemicals in his lab, to have more than 8 hours breakthrough time. And of course, dexterity, it means that we will use single use to have the maximum of dexterity. So what we did is to make an assessment. So here all the list of the chemicals that you can see here, ethanol, methanol, IPA, isopropanol, styrene, etc. And we select some of the gloves that they can be used. And what you see the numbers here, it's the amount of the breakthrough time. When it's green, like the last column, it means that the breakthrough time is more than 8 hours. So it's very important. So when we show this table to the safety professional, we ask him what could be. No, we didn't ask him. He just make his choice, and he say this is the better protection for the workers. So in your opinion, which one? So here another poll. Which glove would you recommend when you see this picture? Is it the glove A, this one, or the glove B, this one, or a glove C, or you don't know? So you can participate on
Yes, the poll is
the platform.
launched. So the answers are getting in. So we'll give 20 more seconds. So people are still replying. So majority is choosing between C and I don't know, but we give 10 more seconds for the participants because we're almost halfway the attendees who registered their vote. 5 more seconds. Final call, and here we go. So I'm sharing the results, and most people don't know. And the second answer that was given most is the answer number C. So Munir,
Okay.
take it.
So thank you, Joris. So if I take the answer C, so I will try to have the light. So it means, I hope that it's visible. It means that this is the glove that you choose for the QC department. It's what we call a barrel glove that providing really a maximum of protection. For protection is very good, but for the dexterity, I'm not sure that the technician in the lab will be happy to use this. So my message here, guys, of course, the breakthrough time is very important, but we need also to take into account other criteria like dexterity, etc. We can't provide 100 protection using the one specific glove. What we need to do is to make a balance and to have assessment and to choose the best choice with that are allowing to achieve all the criteria, and dexterity is one of them. Of course, we need also, when we do that, we need to make some recommendation and to provide some training for the user. As for example, if they have, when they are manipulating, if they have any contamination, any splotches they need, because it's single use, they need absolutely to remove it directly and to use another glove. In case of doubt, because we are using very toxic chemical and very dangerous chemical, here what we can do also is to use a double gloving by using this first because it's providing very good protection, and we can wear another one to allow to have dexterity. So it's something also that we can do. So my message is, when you are selecting the single use, pay attention to jump directly to this kind of gloves, because nobody will use them. And the best thing is to try them also, to ask to have some samples to try them in the field with the user directly. So the second case study is dimethyl mercury. Probably you heard about it. So it happened in a few years ago. It was a scientist who was preparing a solution of dimethyl mercury for specific experimentation when several drops landed on one of her hands. Her, because the scientist was a lady. The scientist was wearing latex glove and respecting all the safety procedure. All the safety procedure were respected. After 5 months, the effect of mercury poisoning became apparent when she started to have difficulties to work, difficulties to speak, and unfortunately, the scientist died at age of 48 years old on the 8th of June, 5 months after the first contact. So what happened here? The first thing, the wrong PPE was used, the wrong PPE material was used, the dimethyl mercury permeated via the latex glove. The second message is very low amount of chemicals in some cases can lead to poisoning. In our case here, is 0.1 milliliter can result in severe mercury poisoning. And the third message, and as we saw it just before, when the health effect of chemicals and when the health exposure, some chemicals can be absorbed and can lead to fatalities, unfortunately. It's not only inhalation, but the skin absorption also can lead to that. So this is the second case study. The third one is, it was a search in a laboratory. Now we have nice electrical car and a lot of research on the lithium molecules. And here it's a good case study using LiPF6 used in the research of electrical vehicle in lithium battery. So the scientists put the LiPF6, dissolve it into a solvent, the DMC and the EC, the dimethyl carbonate and ethylene carbonate. They mix the solvent under ambient conditions, ambient temperature and ambient pressure. And during the procedure, the researcher pressed the tip of the pipette. So we'll zoom so you can see it more. So he pressed the type of the pipette onto the left index finger while wearing disposal nitride glove. The researcher experienced, and very important, this small detail, instant pain that rapidly increase in severity. So again, some interaction with you guys today. In your opinion, what caused the scientist to experience a sudden pain? So we can launch the poll. Is it the answer A, the pipette punctured the glove, so just the top of the pipette that give this pain? Answer B, he got an allergic reaction against the glove material. Yeah, it can happen. Or the answer C, he comes in contact with a chemical, but which one? We don't know. Answer A and C, because of the puncture, the chemical can be in contact with the skin. Or the last one, a chemical permeated the glove and caused the pain.
Again,
So
the
you have
poll is
6 seconds.
launched. Yes,
Thank you.
the poll is launched, and the answers are getting in massively, so that's good. So just wait another 10 seconds. So we'll end the poll in 3 seconds. Yeah, we'll do that. And most of the answers are linked to the permeation, so the last answer. Munir?
Yes, thank you. And you are right, guys. It's linked to the permeation, but this example, this case study, I really like it because there is a lot of things on it. So what happened? Remember, the scientists put the LaPF6 in solution of two solvent under ambient condition. But when we put the LaPF6 in the solvent, we have a reaction that he will be divided in LAF and plus PF5. And because we are working under ambient condition, we have an amount of humidity, and the PF5, it reacted with a molecule of water and lead to the formation of two molecules of hydrofluoric acid. And this is maybe one of the most dangerous, the most acid that we can use in the industry. And the two HF molecules become in contact with the hand or the finger of the scientist. So, but when we check the information, we find that the glove that he's using will not allow the permeation very quickly. So this can't explain the sudden pain, because normally, of course, the HF can permeate this glove, but let's say the speed of permeation, it's not too quickly to have this sudden pain. Just a reminder that hydrofluoric acid was not alone. He was in mixture with others, the other LaPF6 that didn't react, the DMC or the EC, ethylene carbonate or dimethyl carbonate. And the other molecules, they are the friends of the HF that help him to permeate very quickly. And here another point to consider when you are assessing your chemical risk and when you are choosing the right PPE, the mixture. The mixture can affect the permeation and can affect the breakthrough time of molecules. And here we have more than that. If we check the defenses, what happened, what are the other holes, because the holes are not only in the PPE here, but they are also in the management system in the risk assessment. So if we check that when we are conducting the chemical risk assessment, it's very important to evaluate the chemical interaction and potential secondary reaction, intentional or unintentional. I know it's sometimes not easy to do that. This is why you need to ask chemists to help you. And here we start to have a border with process safety. When selecting the appropriate PPE also, please consider the nature of the mixture. Here you saw the result. In some case, a molecule they may not permeate the barrier can do so when it's in part of mixture. So this it's very important because we know in the industries we are using a lot of mixtures and a lot of processes in different temperature also. So the takeaways before giving the word to Joris to explain Ansel Guardian database and how it works and what are the benefits. Just three things. The skin, or four things. The skin is also route of chemical entry. It's not only inhalation, but it's also the skin contact in some examples. Not all of chemicals, of course, they are absorbed, but some of them they are absorbed and can lead to systemic effects. The chemical skin exposure can occur through three pathways: direct contacts, contaminated surface contacts, and the airborne contacts. And the effect, they are also divided in three categories. The most known one, where we give a lot of energy and importance, of course, there are direct effects, but please don't forget the systemic effects and allergic effects also. And the last takeaway, the permeation can be affected by the temperature of the process. And also, please consider the mixture because they will affect the permeation and they will affect the breakthrough time. So this is for me today. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. The floor is yours to explain the our Ansel Guardian database and how it works and why it's important.
Yes, thank you, Munir. Thanks for this 45 minutes of insights and making it a bit more practical now in a way. We had some questions, by the way, so if you still have questions, put them in the chat or in the questions box. We can address them still later on. However, one of the questions is, okay, how do I know then which glove I need to use against, for instance, chloroform? So, well, let's find out. For that, we have the tool Ansel Guardian chemical, and I'm going to share my screen, which is a web-based platform. I hope you all see my screen. Can you just confirm, Munir, if that's okay? Do you see the screen?
Yes, we see it.
Yes, super. Okay.
Yeah,
So
we see it.
we go to a web-based URL, which is Ansel with double L guardianchemical.com, and if you click on that, you will be led to a web page where there are different tools. There are three tools: advanced chemical product selector, a permeation and degradation database, and a chemical product test data tool. But first of all, I would recommend all to sign in or to register if you have not done that before, because that will give you more access. If you're just going to use this without any sign in or without any business email address, you will have limited access. So I kind of urge you all to first create your own profile. And once you have done that, you can sign in by just using your email address. And then there's a single sign on system as well. But then you will have your own login and you will see that you were logged in as well. You can change the language if you wish to different versions, to French if needed, or to others as well. So there are three tools. I'm going to focus on the permeation and degradation database today, but know that the advanced chemical product selector will help you to define, based on 3, 4, 5 simple questions depending on the flow, in which industry you are, which kind of application you're looking for protection, which type of gloves you could use. And based on that, you can take it a bit further and really go into the permeation information. On the other hand, there's also the chemical product test data. So if you know a product and you just want to confirm that the product is the right one for the chemical that you're using, you can just download here, based on the product code, the full permeation poster like was shown in some of the slides by Munir. But let's go into this permeation and degradation database. So you just click on the arrows and you will be led to the real page. You will get then the first, you can access latest request that you did, but you can go also for a new one. And then this tool is applicable for both hand protection, so gloves, but also for body protection. Let's just keep it simple and go to gloves. So you just de-click body protection, click on create request, and then you need to fill in your details just to create the report, because that's the purpose. You will get, based on the inputs you do here, a nice report. So either you do it yourself, or, and that's also an important notification I want to do, you reach out to the Ansel team or to the Avantor team, who will then be able to create, based on your inputs, this nice and customized report for you. Let's skip that for now. And then you come to this overall page where you have an empty table because we have not entered any chemicals so far, and a list of products which you can also modify. So assume we go for acetone, we add the products in the top bar here. You will get, as soon as you start typing, you will get some names, but you can also use, for instance, the cascode, but let's go for this one, and you will add acifat. Normally, if you use the CAS code, which is more realistic and more concrete, as we all know, the CAS number is the unique identifier, you will be able to get in here. You also need to know the concentration, and you need to know the solid state or the physical state, sorry, whether it's solid or gas or a liquid. So maybe let's then put in as well chloroform, as was mentioned. Where you will then get visibility and you get the second row. So by adding those chemicals, you will get indeed automatically the row added over here, and you will get visual insights on the products and how they are scoring on the breakthrough times. So in this case, we had two, acephate and chloroform added. We have some products here, which I think, for instance, maybe I don't want to see them all. So I click on some of the checkboxes over here, and I can remove these to make it a bit more visually clearer. So now I have these products only here, but now I can also play around with these products. So I can, for instance, look at the suggested list of products in this case. So maybe, for instance, I want to add this one, add to the product. You will see it has been added to the product category. It's here, the 38560. But if you know a product, you can also add them by just simply typing those. As an example, I'm going to add our new product, the 53002-003, which is the added over here, which is going to give then your insights as well. So what you will then be able to do is you will see now here, based on the permeation chart using the ISO 374 state, you will see all of the insights here. You can also change to a degradation chart where you will see then insights on how they are scoring based on a degradation, or you can combine the two. So once you do that, you will change the visual here. We can also click on the legend, which will give you then a bit more insights on the permeation breakthrough times or the degradation ratings. So you have that legend over here to give that full uh, insights. What is important to know is if there's a C, that means that we have tested it in-house or via an independent laboratory. So we know that we have these exact results, and we can also do, for instance, extra results if needed, or extra tests if there would be a blank. It's important to know that we have insight of more than 6,000 chemicals as a partner with our own research team that are located in Portugal, in US or in Malaysia. They will be able to do any report for you based on any submission of a chemical. As we know, there are more than 160 million in the market, so we don't always have the immediate answer of a combination of a polymer combination of a glove comparing it with the chemical as such. So you might have some blanks here and there, but then you just click on submit and you will get a report afterwards. So the key here is really to play around with the chemicals, so meaning that you need to add the CAS number, but also the percentage. So you can, for instance, say my chloroform is not 100% concentration, but it's only 25%. You just click on that, you edit the concentration, and you update, and you'll get different results over here. So what you will then be able to do is you build your own poster in a way, or you build your own table, adding all of the different chemicals, the different products that you want. You can then also sort them just to show, in this case, the PVA glove, the 15554, would give the best breakthrough times on both chemicals if you're supposed to work with both at the same time. So that would be then your recommended glove, but keeping in mind that this is the standard permeations, it's not the cumulative permeation. And then, of course, if you want to know the cumulative permeation, I would say reach out to us, to our lab team, so they can do the testing for you as well. Nevertheless, if you then are happy with the results, you submit, you need to fill out the information. I'm going to skip that again, but then it will be saved and it will be sent to you, and you will get the PDF document immediately into your inbox. And if something is missing, if for instance you have some blanks over here, you will get the report in a few days later. However, key takeaway I would say is it's an easy and free tool, so you can register and use your business email address, so you have more insights. So Gmail and all kind of private email addresses will just have very basic information. But if you're not sure on how to do that, the Avantor team and the Ansel team are here to help, so we can help you on creating your own poster as such as well. So having said that, I'm returning to the webinar. I'm stopping to share. And I
Yeah, I
think,
just wanted to add, Joris, one thing
yes,
of
sure.
the report, and it can really help, especially for the companies that they have some certification like ISO 45000, previously what we call OJAS 18000. The auditors in general, they are asking when it's came to the PPE, they are asking how we did the assessment to be sure that the protection are the right one. And this kind of report, of course, that will help us to make the right selection, but it can also help for the companies that they have this kind of certification. And I'm speaking about experience on this point. It's a really very helpful tool that I used before when I worked as a EHS manager.
Okay, great. So I think now we're at the end. I see some questions were raised during the last few minutes, so let's maybe go quickly through these. So, so there is a question, I think, from Anya. How I think we need to address separately is about the sources on the doubling of the penetration, the 310 minutes real breakthrough, and the case study. So we will come back on that. So it's about the sources. Then there's another question on how do I know what type of glove the numbers on the table are referring to. So maybe I was not 100% putting stress on that as well, but if you click on the product, you will get some information, and maybe I'll just quickly reshare. So share screen again. So if you for instance would look at the table as such, indeed you will only have the product numbers. However, if you click on the 3 points over here, you will get some more information. So in this case, you know the material, PVA, the thickness, which we don't disclose for this glove. But for instance, you can also see that information on the product as such, like in this case, it's butyl with the thickness. This is natural rubber with the specific thickness, and so on. And also, if you click on submit in the final report, you will get the glove number, a glove picture, and a bit more information like the material and the thickness. So it's just here in this online environment that you don't get to see the real information or the more advanced information as well. And of course, if you're doubting which products, again, the same recommendation, reach out to Ansel or to the Avantor team, and we are able to help you making this chart for you based on our team's expertise that we have as well. So going then back to the
Yeah. So just
questions.
one word, Joris. I would like to come
Uh-huh.
back to the questions of Enya, if I'm pronouncing well. It's not doubling in penetration, but it's in permeation. With the increase of 10 degrees is um, the calculations show it's regularly doubling with 10 degrees. Of course, we will share the mathematical formula to explain how we did it. And for the references of the case study, of course, it's a scientific publication, so I can share it with her, of course. And the other, it's about the breakthrough time, 310 minutes. Is it the real breakthrough times for the glove actually being worn by humans? It's no, in this case, it's just in the laboratory condition where we increase the temperature to see the impact of this, of the breakthrough time. And it's not the an experience where people are wearing the gloves are, and it's under laboratory condition. But we will send her an email to give all this information, additional information that she asked. And thank you for that.
Another question we got is about the comfortability. Is it comfortable to use the 02100, so the plastic bag that you showed, Munir, as an inner glove under a disposable glove? The answer is no, it's not so comfortable, but it's done often because of the safety reasons. However, Ansel have just launched a new product, which I quickly showed is the 53002 and 003, which is actually combining that 02100 spirit, which is actually a multi-layered technology. That multi-layer technology is now increased or enhanced with a neoprene outer layer to create a bit more comfortable gloves. So if you wish to know more about that, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll give you samples so you can test and have the full fit and feel of that glove, which could be an alternative to double gloving, in this case with the 0 to 100 and then disposable glove. We're having still 3 minutes. Don't know if I still have other questions. Yes, a good question. Can you also search if a liquid mixture is there? That's a really good question. So as Munir explained as well in his case studies, mixtures can have different aspects. We're not showing this mixtures as a standard item in the chemical garden. So I would say reach out to us and we will help you with that mixture. You will have in the MSDS or in the mixture details all of the components, and we know, and our R&D team will be able to detect what kind of influence a mixture or a specific chemical could have in a mixture. So I would say reach out to the Avantor team or to us, and we will help you on creating the specific one for this specific request. Does flexibility and therefore dexterity of
Yeah,
gloves
Joris,
depend pretty
maybe
much?
one remark.
Yes.
I'm not sure that you mentioned it,
Mhm.
but the Ansel Guardian system, it's for free. Yeah? You just need to
Yes, I
register.
mentioned it
It's
quickly.
a
Indeed,
month.
it's for free.
Okay,
Correct,
okay.
correct. It's for free, but it's good that you repeat it because sometimes repetition is key. But it's for free, so just that registration. But in case of mixtures, I would suggest to contact us or the Avantor team, and we will make the full poster or the full insights for you. The flexibility and the dexterity of gloves depend pretty much entirely on thickness. Um, yes and no, I would say. If you would look at, we have some butyl gloves now, water-based butyl gloves, the thickness of 0.35 millimeters up to 0.7 millimeters, which are more flexible than some PVC gloves, for instance, so that are maybe thinner as well. So it's not entirely depending. Of course, it plays a role, but it's not the sole and only determining factor. So it's a good question, but it's not always the case. And then I think so no, there are still a few questions. So last minute, uh, let's maybe the nitrile gloves good for DMSO. I would suggest to test and to put it in the chemical guardian and to see if it's working, yes or no. How to properly clean reusable gloves? That's a question I would say, and I would actually say not to clean because, as Munir explained, permeation is happening on a non-visible way. So it means that you're not always sure that the nasty chemical or the dangerous chemical is washed off or is laundered. So in essence, chemical gloves are actually not to be reused or not to be laundered. We also put that in our IFU, and that's a statement that is valid for all chemical gloves. It's not only the Ansel one, it's for all gloves out there. The thickness, of course, will give you a better protection than, for instance, a very thin single-use glove. But in essence, if a chemical made contact, please don't reuse. If you're 100% sure that the chemical was not into contact with your glove, you might consider, but that's always at your own risk, at your own discretion. But we would not recommend to reuse or launder or wash any chemical gloves. And then the last question, because I see there's still plenty more questions coming in. The shares will be, the slides will be shared. Um, and then one last question, the Ansel Guardian webpage that will be in the presentation, so that is fine. And then one last, let's take the other last question. So others have the difference between, some have minus 10 minutes of permeation, whether others have 5 minutes. So anything below 10 minutes we would not recommend. That's also indicated with the red color. We would not recommend, because before you know, yeah, minus 10, it could be 1 or 3 minutes. So maybe that's not a good starting point. The thing, of course, is the difference is when you will have a C, you will have an exact concrete number. That means that we have tested in lab conditions. Plus, also Munir explained, lab conditions are rarely the real working conditions. So if you have minus 10 minutes, it could easily be minus 3 minutes or whatever, based on humidity changes or on temperature changes in your own application environment. So we're 2 minutes over time. All the other questions that we did not address today, we will come back on later on. I hope you all had an insightful 1 hour and 2 minutes, and I wish you all a great afternoon. And we will come back via the Eventor team with the information on the slides, which will be posted on their website and so on. But I hope you all had a safe learning and have a safe afternoon, and have a great day. Thank you all.
Yep. Bye bye. Have a great day, guys.